we're talking big. And they serve a really great purpose of being that big.
All right, you guys, we are back here at the Point Defiance Zoo. Today we're gonna go see some cool animals I have not had the pleasure of being introduced to at any facility. I'm excited, let's go in. Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Who are you?
my name is Stephanie and I'm a staff biologist here at the Rocky Shores and Tundra area.
Awesome, and I definitely don't know you.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Anyway, so I just walked over here. What are we here to do?
Yeah, so we're gonna go check out our 2 new polar bears. They are pretty small. They're only 2.5 years old, so they're pretty little.
Babies,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited. Let's go do it.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so we're up here with the polar bears. Who do we have in here?
Yeah, we have Astra and Laerke. They're 2 polar bear twins.
They're twins.
Yes, they were both born at the Detroit Zoo.
Why is one so much larger than the other? Who's the bigger one?
The larger one is Astra. We believe that that's because of how they were raised. So Lyrica actually had to be pulled from mom just a few days old because of some injuries. And so she was actually hand raised by her keeper staff and her vet staff. And then Astra was raised by mom. So we're thinking due to some medications to help with her ailments that maybe that may have stunted her growth early on. So she's catching up. She's gaining weight how she should be, but she's just started a little behind.
The fact that the keeper stepped in is what possibly saved her life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if they wouldn't have stepped in, I'm not so sure she would have made it, but they did an amazing job and she's completely healthy now.
How would you describe polar bears in the wild?
Polar bears in the wild are mostly solitary animals. The only time you're really going to see polar bears together is a mom with cubs, and that's definitely not a bear you want to cross. Just like any bear with cubs, they're pretty protective. They will stay pretty elusive and away from you.
Well, how big can they get, and how heavy are these girls?
Female bears are going to tend to be smaller than the male bears. Male polar bear can get up to about 1,700 pounds on the big end, usually about 1,200 pounds. These 2 females right now, Lyrica is about 340 pounds and Astra is about 630 pounds. So Astra's getting to almost full grown. Females usually top out around 700 pounds.
Oh, so pretty petite.
Yeah, pretty petite, yes.
Okay. What is one of your favorite facts about polar bears?
My favorite polar bear fact is their paws. I think their paws are really amazing. They're perfectly adapted for their life up in the Arctic. Polar bears are mostly either swimming or out on sea ice. So their paws are really massive. On average, an adult male polar bear paw measures about 12 inches in diameter. So you think of your classic school ruler, and that's how large their paws are. Yeah, so we're talking big. And they serve a really great purpose of being that big because they act as a snowshoe, basically. They allow the polar bear's weight, so if they weigh 1,300 pounds, you imagine that on sea ice, doesn't seem like it would match well, but because their weight is so evenly distributed across those large paws, it helps them get out on really thin sea ice that normally we wouldn't think they could. A lot of people wonder how they're not slipping and sliding around, and their paws are actually adapted to allow them to kind of keep traction on the ice. They have these tiny bumps on the bottom of their paw pads called papillae, and they act as tiny little suction cups.
You know, one of my favorite things about them, and this is like something that's been seen newer in science, is that they are technically considered marine mammals.
Yes.
Explain that.
They do spend most of their time out in either the sea or the sea ice, and they are mainly feeding on marine mammals like ring seals or bearded seals. But polar bears do spend a lot of time out in the water, so yeah, they are considered marine mammals.
Something that some people often kind of know is that they're not actually white.
Kind of 2 different things there. So a lot of times looking at polar bears, they appear white and fluffy to us. It's actually not true at all. One, their skin is actually black. They like their nose, and you see the color of their nose at the bottom of their paw pads. That's the color of their skin all over their body. And then their fur is actually completely clear and hollow. And that's because it wants to hold air to help keep polar bears warm. So they have 2 layers of fur. They have a nice downy, like thick undercoat, kind of like a sweater to us. And then on the outside, they have what are called guard hairs. And those hairs can kind of lay down flat and intermix to kind of create a shield from the cold wind. It's really pretty interesting, but if you pluck a polar bear hair and you hold it up and look at it, it's actually completely clear.
So translucent.
Yes.
So, okay. Wow, that's awesome. As a keeper of the polar bears, what are certain things that you're doing, like training-wise with them to help kind of better that connection?
We do training with them every single day. No matter what we're doing, whenever we're interacting with them, we're training them in some fashion because Right now, they're pretty young and they're new to us in our space, and it's different than the space that they originally grew up in. So we want to train them to be able to move around with us in their holding spaces. We're also working on all their basic behaviors, is what we call them right now, but the things like opening their mouths so we can make sure they're all good and like dental wise, presenting paws to us, which will eventually turn into a voluntary blood draw. We have little ports that they can slide their paws into, and then our vet staff can come down and take a blood sample. So all of these different things, right now it's all those basics that will build on to create a lot of nice veterinary needs.